Hello, and welcome to the Cute Artistic Crunderdunders, episode 139.
No,
Wait.
No, I ain't having any of that. No, dude, no. We're doing that again. Try that again.
Yeah.
Okay. That's,
Okay.
You can't just throw ridiculous names out at me.
Fine. All right. Hello, and welcome to the Crab Assimilation Crusade, episode 140 for March. What? Is that not satisfying for you?
Are you not entertained?
I'm not okay with this. Who gave you the okay to do this? Just say the normal name.
All right. So I'll say the official name.
Please.
Okay. Hello, and welcome to the Canadian African Coalition, episode 140. What?
I don't know what I was expecting. All right, no, forget it. We're the Canadian Coalition now.
Should I continue?
You know what? We're the Canadian Coalition. It's been a great day here, and this has been the worst intro to the podcast I have ever been a part of.
It's Canadian and African Coalition, but I'd be careful about imitating both of those.
So is it AU?
Canadian
it's
African
CAC.
Coalition.
I mean, our show is CAC, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right now it is.
All right. Let me try it one more time.
I swear to God.
I'm gonna get it right this time. Hello, and welcome to the Curvy Abdomen Cadets.
I'm so done.
Episode 140 for March 17th, 2015.
I'm so done.
My name is Rainbow Plasma.
It's Bird.
I'm Flutterguy317.
And I'm
Why did you not let me finish?
Cat Muscle.
All right. We're gonna do one more here, and I'm gonna muster all of my energy to get this right here, guys. All right. We're gonna do this right. All right. Hello, and welcome to the Cutie Art Crusaders, episode 140 for March 17th, 2015. My name is Rainbow Plasma, and I'm your organizer and host of the podcast, and today I'm joined by...
Burndoplasma hates your face, 01, the special guest coordinator, and sometimes the editor.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Are you new on the show? My name's Flutterguy317, and I'm the media manager of the podcast.
And I'm Cat Spark. I run the kitty cam, and that's about it.
Aww.
He's actually not joking. He's running the kitty cam right now.
Literally. Joel, okay,
Yeah.
Look, okay, carrots, artichokes, and celery is not a cat-themed podcast, all right?
Oh,
and we
sad.
cannot be having cats all over the podcast. As much as it's entertaining to stare at your cat's butt, which is what your webcam is showing right now,
Yep, it's true.
we need to focus on serious things. Very serious.
Reposition the cat. Face the cat towards the camera. There we go.
Nobody's going to get this. This is a visual thing that literally no one else will see.
I don't even
wait.
see this.
More update on Burns' woodpecker cam. There's a woodpecker outside of my window, and he's hopping around, or is that a blue jay? Nope, it's definitely a woodpecker. Oh, he's gone. All right.
Depends. Is it smashing its face against a tree?
That was fun.
If it is, it's a
No,
blue
but
jay.
if it starts pecking on my porch, I have to go out there with rocks. So
Oh,
Nice.
ooh. Wow.
Wow. All right. So
Are you sure there's not
Out
like
of
a
the-
woodpecker
the
at your
good old
keyboard
22.
every
So on
week?
this episode of Crabs and Cats, what are we doing?
crabs and cats. I already used the word crab.
Yeah,
Can't
and
repeat things.
I like crabs and cats.
I liked it.
Yeah.
All right. So,
What about crustaceans and carnivores?
see, there you go. I already used. Didn't I already
Please.
use crustacean? No, I didn't. I used crab.
He's crab.
All right. So today is March the 17th, and I'd like to tell a quick story about the fact that everybody keeps asking me, "When's Ted's birthday again?" I know it's in March. So would you like to?
I would never, ever ask that.
Mr. Ted.
Never.
Mr. Ted last name.
Insert
AKA
last name here.
Flutterguy317. Would you like to please describe how someone might guesstimate or come to know your birthday?
Well, see, Max, something last name here.
We're related, of course.
Yes, of course. Mhm.
Are you Max guy? Ted
Max
guy?
guy 370. One would come to know my birthday by looking up into the sky at night when it's a full moon
Okay.
and drawing lines in the stars and the constellations, as it were, and basically realizing that the stars in the sky spelled the numbers 317, and then kind of associating that with the whole what kind of
Username?
calendar system are we now?
Username?
It's not the Gregorian calendar. It's the
Jesus
whatever
calendar.
it is. Yeah, and realizing that there's no 17th month, so it's got to be March, and then the 17th day, today. Hey.
Oh, I thought it meant you were born in year 2017 or 1917. No.
I'm either
His
really
birthday's
old.
in his name.
Oh.
His birthday is in his name.
Yes.
Flutter Guy, March the 17th.
I've known you for 3 years now, and I've never realized
That's what
Has
this
been
3 means in his
overstated.
name, you idiot. Known him for 3 years.
God! How can you even not know that, Joel says after asking us when Ted's birthday is. Also, by the way, I think Krusty Almond Calendar might be another good name for the podcast. We're still figuring things out. 140 episodes in.
Yeah.
What?
Cutie Art Crusaders just,
It doesn't roll off the tongue.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So we're thinking of new names. We're
So
joking, of course.
Krusty is spelt with a K. You'd never watch SpongeBob, all right?
Only if it's associated with a crab with a K.
Or
Yeah.
Simpsons.
It's the crusty art crabs.
CAC.
CAC.
Which is funny because that's what our acronym is, anyways. Hey, so yeah, it's Ted's birthday on Tuesday. Happy birthday when this comes out.
Thanks.
And that is a perfect transition for something I want to talk about and I didn't write down. So speaking of when things come out, so the last few weeks or so, I wanted to address something that has happened a couple of times now. Burn is laughing, but I wanted to address it. So the last couple of weeks, we have had some unfortunate incidents with the live stream and the YouTube uploads of our videos.
Oh, yeah, that.
And I would like to think that going forward, we will not have such incidents with the live stream or YouTube videos,
Yeah.
such as forgetting to turn the video public is a big one. So maybe let's not try to do that, as well as experimenting with codecs like the day before we release a live stream.
Who does that? I mean, seriously.
So, just to let everyone know, we do apologize if you were expecting to see an episode out on time the last couple of weeks. We are working on it currently, and I should hope that we won't have any more issues anytime soon. Why, yes, this was a thinly veiled threat. Thanks for noticing.
From all of us here at Codex Are Confusing, we're sorry.
I'm impressed.
That was really good. I liked it.
I really enjoy that when Joel talks, the little blue box around the cat lights up, so it looks like your cat is talking.
If only I,
mean,
could
pretty good.
see
We all know that Joel's a cat, right?
Apologies.
Microsoft.
I need a way to record this.
Nah, we're not. No, just no, not doing that.
You just put a little image of my cat on the side of the screen.
Burned, are you on a shirt?
The shirt? Am I on a shirt?
Yeah.
No, I'm not on a shirt. The best thing ever is on a shirt, though. Something I wanted to give a shout out to is I was joking around with Peponi on DeviantArt and Pepuni, and she made this Fluttershy piece, and in the description she had in big capital letters like Fluttershy going I'm gonna water these mo-fugging flowers, son, and just super gangster as heck. And I was like, and it really made me laugh. So I told her if she put that on a shirt, I would buy it 100%. I would buy that shirt. And she resisted me to the end, but I basically twisted her arm backwards and made her do it. So if you go to her Redbubble right now, it might still be up there, and you can and you can get the best shirt that I've ever seen, which is Fluttershy watering some happy little flowers so they don't die. And
Mofugging,
so
of
cute.
course,
With,
stands for Morgan Freeman.
of course,
Yes.
of course. But yeah, oh my god, it was the funniest thing in my life. She was here, I made this your joke is and or whatever, just to, like, humor me. And I instantly bought it and, like, sent her a picture of it. I was like, suck it! Already bought it. She thought it was lying. She's like, no.
Now I've got to keep this up in case people buy it.
This is easily the best thing, like the best thing in my life.
She's gonna be at. She's gonna be at.
Yeah, she's gonna be at BronyCon. I'm gonna wear this every single day.
You totally should. Yes.
You know what? I was about to object, but then I realized I'm not rooming with you, so I don't really care if you wear
every
it every
day.
day.
Well, that also means he's not wearing his vest every day. Or are you wearing it under your vest every day?
Under the vest, of course.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the open vest.
Yes.
All right.
Sorry.
That was magical.
I wanted to bring up a piece. Actually, a
You're
couple
not allowed!
pieces.
Yes, you are.
Too bad.
By a fan of the show called Zach Productions.
Uh-huh.
And he made a piece featuring a very peeping rainbow plasma.
Yep.
Yep. Looking at Dave and Otaku AP, caught in some, some suggestive action there.
What can I say? I enjoy watching men make out.
There is tongues there.
Uh-huh.
No, actually, there isn't.
You can't see
You
it.
can't
but there
see
is.
them, but they're inside.
Yeah, off screen, of course. There's other things too, but you can't see that, I think.
Wow.
And then he also made a cutie mark picture of me where my cutie mark becomes something, I'm not really sure what, but it changes, and I look scared.
Is it a tongue?
No.
Oh, it's that robot thingy from that movie thingy.
Yeah, it's from Big Hero 6.
There you go.
See, I haven't seen that,
Wow.
but I should.
I have.
Well then.
Yeah, so the joke kind of fell flat, but thank you so much for the art.
Oh, that's a reference. That's a
Yeah.
reference. I know this one. Okay, so it's not like to the
enlighten me.
movie, but
Yeah.
like, so when you were away, and we totally forgot to do this last episode, but when you were away, we got a question like, if like in real life, what would your cutie mark be, and what would your special talent be? And you weren't
Yeah.
here. You weren't here, so we couldn't get your opinion on it. But what we decided was that your special ability, like, we were very genuine actually. So you haven't watched the episode, so
We were
No.
genuine after we made total butts of ourselves. Though.
right. Like, we were all fools, and then we were like very genuinely trying to think up an answer for you, and we were like,
Yeah.
your special talents, like being nice, like you're one of the nicest people we've met, like just being really genuine about it. Thanks for not watching the episode, by the way.
Yeah.
And so then we were like trying to come up with the cutie mark, and I was arguing the fact that the cutie mark is really hard to come up with on the spot because it's more about the event than it is the special talent. And we made some sort of joke about the fact that the Big Hero 6 character, who's like super, super nice and like sweet and caring and stuff. So yeah, that's.
I didn't think that was about that at all. We were talking about robots and like, are you part of the robotics club?
Yeah, that's
And then be like, oh, he's good at robot stuff. Let's put a
Right,
robot in
right.
his
So
butt.
I was like, he's probably the one who came up with well, God, what's that character's name?
Because we were like,
Baymax.
Ted's smart. He does
Yeah.
robot things.
Yeah, so it was like
Baymax.
he probably made Baymax because it's so cute and adorable and like
Ah.
cuddly. That's what we said. So like that's why it would
sense.
be on his butt, because like that would be the event that would make him realize
You
that his
made
special
the
talent was
robot
being
of
nice.
kindness.
Yay.
Are you
And now it's
satisfied
forever
with
on your
care?
butt.
Well, now I have to go watch this and
Yes.
our episode.
It's a really good movie. They
better
paid
than I
me a
was expecting.
lot of money to say that.
Yeah.
I'm joking. They didn't.
It was
pay me
better than
any
I was
money.
expecting.
Nobody pays me any money. All right.
That's not true. You get paid money.
That is not true. Electronic Arts pays me a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Anyways,
Can you get sponsorship from them for us, please?
absolutely not.
Oh.
They are a large company,
Mm-hmm.
and I would not like to be fired. I don't know what they wouldn't fire me. I don't know. They fire a lot of people. Anyways,
Yes.
hope I'm not fired after I said that. Whatever. We have art to do.
Yes.
We're 15 minutes in, so we're kind of late on that. But that's fine. It's fine. 15 minutes. Anyways, it's good.
We had a long intro, so it's all right.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I don't. I actually blacked out there for a minute, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I hate you.
So, the very first art piece is just a magical piece selected by
literally
it's selected by the
best
magical
thing
burns. It's really just magical,
I've
and
ever
I just
seen.
wanted to say once again like how magical it was. And Burn, do you want to just do you want to talk about kind of like the magic that's in this piece?
Before you introduce this piece, we should probably say that there's a trypophobia warning. Just
No, we're not putting trigger warnings on our videos. No,
trigger warning.
don't laugh.
No.
You were being genuine.
That's right. I didn't even notice that Applejack had holes.
yeah,
She's Swiss cheese.
yeah.
Okay, so the piece that I chose for this week is called Magic by Dimfan.
It's not magic.
And
If that's not
Thought it was pretty
magic,
good.
then what is, Joel?
That is totally magic.
Burn, talk to us
so
about
yeah,
the cheese
I like.
in this piece.
Oh my goodness,
What is wrong with us today?
Me.
dude! I don't even know. Like
I trace it back to Max. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of like certain artists that can take something just like very. God, I don't even have an adjective for something like this. Something, whatever this is, and do it really well. And when like I look at it and like I see the picture as it is, not quite like not how it's made or like other intricacies. Just see this, it's this really interesting scene laid out, and look at all the small like things in it and the qualities of it, and just laugh. I don't know, and it's so good. I don't know, it's so good. It's just fantastic. This Dimfan has something about him. Like the stuff he makes is just always fantastic, and it's always funny, and it's always just like I don't know. But like it's some. Let's attempt to talk about artistic stuff on this. I think why it's really really cool and why I enjoy the rendering of this scene, as we'll put it, so much is the fact that the characters are rendered really well. Like they have a three-dimensionality to them, and there's two different like forms of 3D going on. There's like the normal kind of like pony smooth dimension, right? And then there's a flat like geometric dimension going on. So they're like actually morphing from going back and forth to like geometric square like zigzag thing.
Yeah, I like the way he's done that.
Back to like pony.
Yeah. Like you can tell which parts are being modified by this crazy force that isn't magic, because you can tell
Clearly
you can
it's
tell by
not.
the shading. Like Applejack's butt is all shaded and nice and round, but her leg is a square.
Both like, and you can see that transition from both Applejack's like midsection from her waist to her butt, and then same in Pinkie Pie, that like where it takes that sharp line and then fades into like a smooth one, and so like they fade back in.
I like that Pinkie's head is upside down, but her ears aren't.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And her legs too are completely backwards. So like through being contorted, her like body is like flipped itself, but yet her face is just upside down.
I think my favorite part about this piece is Applejack's expression.
Yeah, her
How
face
she's
is
just
great.
like, yeah, she's just like, I'm here. Yeah.
This is my life.
I
now.
never knew life as cheese could be so delightful.
Oh my God.
So I'm surprised nobody has really like talked about like and used the word like abstract, because I feel like
That's a good word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a really good word to describe this piece.
Another good word is surreal.
Sure.
'Cause this is a surrealist piece.
What about Wingfoot?
Wing leg, please.
Wing ankle.
it's not
We're
quite
all
on the
about
foot.
anatomy accuracy in this piece.
Actually, no. Joel is right. That is technically a foot. If
Look,
you
man,
think about the
I studied
anatomy,
feet.
like
For 4
Twilight
years
looks
in
like that.
university.
Twilight looks like that like 1990s screensaver with the pipes going everywhere.
Well, the interesting thing is they've all kind of like formed around each other in weird ways. So like Twilight's like zigzag S-shape bend has kind of like gone around Pinkie Pie, and then Pinkie Pie has like created a square around Bendy Applejack. I feel like like there are obviously goofy moods that we all get in.
like today.
And I think it's really cool when you can kind of feel that energy come out of a piece. Like I can tell that when DimFan was making this, that they were just having fun, you know, like he was just enjoying what he was doing and making something really goofy. You can tell because, you know, he's added in these like speech bubbles that are kind of like goofy in a way, and the expressions and stuff, and you can just, the energy that comes off of this piece is really positive and like crazy and zany.
Yeah,
the aura of this piece, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to get into weird territory when we start talking about an aura of a piece, but I think the definitely the emotions that you get out of this piece are definitely very lighthearted.
See, that's the thing when you actually start getting into what is actual abstraction or like abstract art, you start to talk about the aura or like what it seems. Now, it's disclaimer on that word. In like actual like fancy art terms with a mustache, abstraction is like when you simplify something more exactly in the definition. It's obviously more to it than that. But like simplifying the ponies into like these kind of weird symmetrical shapes could be that, but I feel like this is way more along the lines of something that's like extremely surreal and just like crazy dreamscape type of deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially with them floating above the earth. And apparently Pinkie Pie being responsible for somewhat of whatever the hell's going on.
The whole setting is kind of crazy. But like, you know, Applejack and Pinkie Pie are both incredibly happy about it. Twilight's just like, what's going on? So confused.
Like, with all of my heart, I feel like this piece is just absolutely fantastic. With how it's rendered, with like the way the lighting is done realistically and plays with geometric and then like organic and like from soft shaving to pony to weird cheese jack. I feel like it's just done really well. And then like especially this narrative going on with Pinkie and Twilight, and it's an honestly just really funny piece, and I thought it was great. I mean, actually, like, admittedly, I'm a huge fan of DimFan, and like this just makes me more so.
Yeah. So now the question is it magic or is it just art?
Dude, this is absolute magic.
Yeah.
Art is magic.
Yeah.
And this is the essence of art.
That's way too deep for this show.
Whoa! Well then. Let's move on to the next piece, shall we?
Yes.
All right. So my piece is next, and it's a piece called Cloudsdale by Santagera.
This is cute.
Santagera. All right, good enough. Close enough. All right, so this is a piece that is kind of interesting to me because it's got some very big standout points about it. So obviously the lighting in this piece is very dim. It's a night scene. You know, most of the colors in this piece are kind of like a dark blue, a little bit of purple, that kind of thing. But then you've got these really interesting bursts of color in Cloudsdale's rainbow waterfalls. And you can see one up in the top right. You can obviously see one in the middle of the piece and in the bottom left. And so that's a really interesting aspect of the piece. But in addition, something that stood out to me was the kind of addition of the waterfalls giving off light in their own respect. Like you can see on the cloud to the right of that main waterfall, the fact that the colors of the waterfall are kind of like reflected in a way, or they're shining on the cloud.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool.
And also the pony is purple because he or she is right above the purple streak of the rainbow.
Yeah.
Make this bigger. How big does this go?
And like look at like the underside of the wing of that Pegasus as well. You know, you've kind of got this very faint rainbowy kind of
that rainbow
light
reflecting on the bottom of the pony too.
Yeah.
Pegasus.
Yeah. I'd like to imagine that this actually is what Cloudsdale looks like at night when all the lights have been turned off except for, you know, a few buildings.
Wasn't
I
Rainbow
feel like
Dash's
that's kind of
house like just covered in rainbows? Like, wouldn't that be really difficult to see?
Well, yeah, that's where she lives. That's...
Yeah.
Was it? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Weather pony. But no, I like that as, you know, the narrative, and like that I feel like that is the narrative that's kind of like set up for this, where it is like a like the artist's rendering of Cloudsdale at like nighttime, where it's this, you know, it's a dark place in the clouds, and like it's being dimly lit by moonlight, and then the only thing that still carries like really bright lights are like the little lanterns, and then just bright rainbows.
Well, because like even in the show when we saw Cloudsdale, like it was hard to tell if the rainbows were like emitting light themselves or just reflecting light because it was daytime. But you know, it'd be kind of cool if they were luminous themselves and like
yeah, exactly.
Here.
Makes for this very cool scene.
Yeah,
and it's really
I really like
subtle in a way as well.
Yeah, I really like that little rainbow down at the bottom where it's kind of like it's freely flowing like liquid, so it's kind of like dripping off the side of the cloud on the right and then like glowing on things around it.
And like it's separating as well into the individual colors, because all we see is like all the colors together, and it's like, well, how does that work? Do they all just happen to go in that order? Like, but you can see off to the left that's like the warm colors are dripping to the left and the cool colors are dripping to the right, and then there's like this little pool of cool colors that, like you said, is dripping down the cloud. It's a really interesting kind of take on the whole, obviously, you know, fantasy-esque waterfall rainbow thing.
Something about this piece, like my favorite part is definitely the colors and how they're laid out. I feel like it's a really good piece for how would my art teacher put it? Colorist nerds, I believe is how he liked to put it, because he would call himself a better colorist than he is a painter. My painting teacher would. And he said he was more of a fan of being a colorist. So like when he does his paintings, he enjoys picking like very radical colors or making other like colors interact with colors and blah, blah, blah. So like, I feel like this piece is awesome for that, where you have this very like, the majority of it is this very toned down, very like kind of desaturated, melancholy, dark, like kind of grayish blue and purple, like clouds and everything, and like it gets darker and kind of sets this, you know, the kind of this almost nighttime setting for Cloudsdale, but then it's sharply contrasted by those sharp like rainbow colors reflecting on things, and then like the choice to make the Pegasus that bright, what you call like a bright violet, you know, to really make it like pop and then stand out from, you know, the scene around it. So there's a lot of really cute things like that. Obviously, the yellow of the lanterns, obviously, it doesn't stand out as much as the rainbows, but it's still present.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because with that, you get a little bit of warmth in the scene, whereas like the rest of the scene looks very cool. Even the rainbows, like there are warm-ish colors in there, but like the majority of the scene is this cool purpley blue, you know, not orangey background, and then you have these like little pieces of orange reflecting in the clouds. And
yeah, I mean, obviously it's a bit of the old blue orange, classic. But
yes.
One thing that I think is really important when choosing colors and things like that is to understand the impact of what the color is going to be. So, you know, when you're choosing to make something with rainbows, you know, what impact is it going to have in your scene? And 9 times out of 10, you're going to have this like really vivid impact on the scene, because rainbows are not something that just fade into the background, you know. They're things that stand out because, you know, you've got 6 contrasting colors just on top of each other, and with, generally speaking, quite hard lines in between them, so it draws your attention away. That's why it's a genius choice for a character like Rainbow Dash, who in her own personality kind of demands attention, but her just the way that she looks demands attention as well. So in this kind of piece, the artist works with that and says, all right, well, you know, you're not going to be drawn into the background, so let's fade the background out more and really make these rainbows like something that you want to look at and something that will absolutely stand out without being contested by other things that might draw your attention away in kind of you know kind of conflicting ways if you have too many points that you need to look at.
Another thing that I really like, and it feels really well done, is the way the artist created like foreground, midground, background, you know, like depth to the scene, which the artist laid out like a gradient for the sky where it's kind of like blue to gray, and then added stars, and then made objects like seem solid in front of them, you know? So you've got like that tower going on, which is another like gradient, but you know, there's obviously no stars inside of it. Created like solid gradients and then created the things in the foreground that are kind of lit up by light, which makes them seem a little closer because they're not, you know, darker they're lighter than the things behind them, so on and so forth.
Yeah, and kind of using the focal point of the rainbow, and like understanding that, hey, your eye's going to go there, so let's cut it off with a cloud to give it that depth, because there's no way you're going to miss that depth cue.
Yeah. Same thing with like.
It was just a. Go ahead.
The same thing with like the reflections from the rainbow. They kind of give it some perspective and some placement in the scene.
Right. Right. Well, this was a piece that, as the artist says in the description in Russian, it was kind of an attempt at a background. Apparently, it was just a stress reliever, and I think that's what this piece kind of speaks to me. It's a very light piece. There's not a huge amount of meaning here, or like tremendous amounts of depth that you could stare at the piece for a long time. But I think, you know, it's simple done well, and I really enjoy it.
I didn't know you spoke Russian or read Russian.
Das Vidanya.
I feel like this is just it's a very good piece, or how would you want to put that? It's a very solid painting, I guess is a better way to put that. I feel like this piece is just a very solid like digital painting, and just how things are laid out and how the artist has chosen to render, you know, colors or solid objects and that type of deal. But like even like lighting and things. So like compared to some of like just how like well rendered and fancy that the character or that this artist's works are, like other works are in the gallery, and how like seemingly simple this one and like quick, you know, like background thing like shown in the description, I still feel like there's a lot of qualities about it that make it a very solid painting. So
I agree.
Yes.
Hey Joel, you done fiddling with your camera, and want to come back to the show and present your art piece?
I was listening. I agreed with like everything you guys were saying.
Deal.
And he was playing with his cat. I'm jealous.
He wasn't. He was actually playing with his Discord.
The cat left.
Still jealous. Aw.
Right. Well, the one I chose is called The Golden Cage by Davinian. And there was just too much to talk about with this one. So, moving on.
So for the next 10 minutes,
all right, great. The thing. Well,
the next 10 minutes are going to be silent. So
if I may start, I think that this is a great contrast to the last piece, because as I mentioned, this was a piece that did simple really well. There was kind of one focus, didn't really try to draw you away to anything else. It was kind of like, here I am. Here's what you got to look at. You liked it, cool. This piece is obviously very different. There are a lot of things that demand your attention, and there's a lot of detail in almost every single part of this piece. And you know, I didn't mean to come off in such a way in the last piece saying that there was right or wrong. You know, there's not a lot of right or wrongs in art. So, you know, you can just see the difference between the two, and in the way that this piece, you know, stays interesting for a longer amount of time because of the detail and the amount of things that kind of draw your attention to different parts of the piece, and they both kind of contrast each other very well.
Just with this, because there's just so much detail and absolutely everything, there is no one main focal point. I mean, sure, Celestia is brighter, and what's the Phoenix's name? Philomena on the left-hand side is bright as well, but they're just so overshadowed by the amount of detail and everything else.
Well,
it's more,
I wouldn't say overshadowed necessarily. When you take kind of a step back from the piece, there are certain things that do stand out a little bit more, and I think the color plays a little part of that. For example, the very saturated reds and yellows in Philomena kind of does draw you over to her, as well as the colors in Celestia's hair stand out among the colors of the piece in general.
Yeah, you can see that. However, the stuff in the background is it's very well lit and still has a lot of color to it. Like, it is technically slightly desaturated, but it's not forcing you to like the things that are very like they're more lit or brighter or more vivid aren't forcing you more to look at them, and the things in the background are not desaturated, preventing you from noticing them, if that makes sense. So it is extremely subtle, and so like it is very easy to notice and get lost and wander in all these things going on. And like I personally find that like the best part of this piece of why I feel like it's so fabulous or what have you is the architecture, like is this background that has been presented to this scene. Like I'd spend the least amount of my time looking at Philomena or looking at Celestia. My eyes are just instantly driven to the architecture and like what is going on with it, how it's laid out, displayed, and like the things in the background, like a little twilight painting and like the shadow going on in the fireplace and like the chandelier and like all those little aspects. So I do agree with Joel that they almost seem to overshadow like the what could be the main focal points, but it's like there's nothing really big making them a focal point. There is like a sunbeam coming in from the window, like illuminating Celestia, but she's not being like directly spotlighted. She's about the same value as the floor around her and the door and the fireplace even. And then Philomena does take a very strong place in the foreground on the left-hand side, but she's no more gold than the architecture around her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Davinian likes to paint settings and landscapes where there's subjects in them, not subjects with landscapes around them.
Yeah, and exactly. That's wow. That was an awesome point.
Didn't expect that out of you, Tim.
Wow.
Yeah,
A leap for a weekend.
You took my art pants. Like, but no, that's fabulous. And like I didn't even kind of like realize that. It kind of just like clicked in my head. Like I was gonna say like one of his things that he says or does or paints is big, you know, sweeping, like broad, fabulous landscapes with like things just like you said in them, rather than paint, you know, characters, whatever. I can't even say what you said as good as you said it. It's too good. It's too good.
Well, that's it. I can't get any better than this. I'm off the podcast.
We're done here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just there's so much detail in the setting of this piece. Like if you look right beneath Celestia in the tiled floor, there is a reflection of her mane, which is just fantastic. Like the attention to detail is so good. And there is really no focal point in this piece, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because there's just so much to look at. But
there's definitely an interesting composition going on. Like there's some kind of or there is like there's a depth to it, right? There's like a 3D like rendering of this space with the verisimilitude of some other fancy word that I can't make up. What was the orthogonal lines?
That's
God,
the
that was
one.
forever
Yeah,
ago.
Of course, orthogonal. There's limitude.
Good
like,
time.
Blur's
Orthogonals.
Like, yeah.
Orthogonals, where have you been? The version of her mane. Yeah. No. But yeah, so the diagonal lines that like the architecture and the building are causing, especially as well as the floor and lines on the floor that are, you know, going back into the distance. What I would be curious is where those lines are pointing, because what they can do is they can direct focus. So it looks roughly like they're pointing at Celestia or her face. Hold on. So if you follow the bottom right corner, it points directly to Celestia. The top right corner points directly to Celestia, and the top left corner again points directly to Celestia. So the focal point, the vanishing point, is what it's called just the vanishing point of the art, or the rendering of the scene. I can't remember the right word, but the vanishing point is right on Celestia's face.
No, you're wrong.
So
the vanishing point is behind the fireplace.
It is.
Yeah.
What?
It is.
The vanishing point is where
Shenanigans.
everything converges off the distance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Correct. So what? I'm not wrong.
No. But like,
So in perspective, there can be more than one point. In a vanishing point, there can be 2-point perspective, and there can totally be a place going to the fireplace, even though I don't really see that, because
he's
if
right.
you follow...
He's absolutely right. Follow with your fingers the top left, like where the ceiling goes off the screen, come back and point until your fingers touch.
Like, I'll
And
draw
it's
it on the
Celestia's
screen
face.
for everyone since we're kind of like arguing over it, I'll draw it on the screen. I'll make a little diagram for everyone on the screen, so it'll be nice and easy.
Yeah, I want to see what you're seeing.
But
So there's
like,
two vanishing points. The one that's more
Yes.
prominent is the one by the fireplace. However, there is also
I
a
don't
vanishing...
see the vanishing point leading to the fireplace. You'll have to describe that one to me,
Okay,
please.
like all the lines. If you look at the I don't know what the word for it is, but above.
I mean, it follows the walls, right?
Yeah, like the walls will go. Like you can see, they corner behind the fireplace, and the floor where the floor joins the wall also goes back towards the fireplace. So it gets smaller as it goes towards the fireplace. So the vanishing point where everything converges is behind the fireplace.
No. Okay, so where those lines are like, because you're looking at the top lines and so you're looking at the lines above the door and the lines below the door, correct? And how they seem to get smaller towards the fireplace, and on the other side of the fireplace they get smaller towards the fireplace.
Yes.
Correct. So that is not the vanishing point. Those lines aren't converging there because you have two different parts of this box that is the room, correct? So when you work with perspective, only lines facing the same direction will point towards a vanishing point. So if you have two different lines going two different directions, hence the back wall and then the left-hand side wall, those are two planes in perspective that are facing completely different directions, and they will never converge at a point. So if you look at the back wall, so like let's just look at the lines above the door and the line below the door. So the floor line and the ceiling line. Those lines, just those lines, those parallel lines that would be parallel if it wasn't in perspective, will meet a vanishing point way off to the left of our screen. Yeah. If you trace those two lines with your fingers, way off to the left of the screen. But if you follow the vanishing point for the ceiling on the left-hand side, or so the left-hand wall, and then the vanishing point for the right-hand wall, so the wall that Celestia is staring at, those two walls are technically parallel with each other, but they don't look like that in perspective, but they will meet a vanishing point that is Celestia's eye. Do you see that? So those are two separate vanishing points that are in space. This is a 2-point perspective, but there's nothing that would be converging at the fireplace because the corner of the room is at the fireplace, right? Yeah, so that's what you're seeing is you're seeing those walls,
not at the fireplace.
Yeah, you're seeing the wall. Yeah, you're seeing the walls join behind the fireplace, but that's just the corner of the room.
Yeah.
So like if you look at the right hand corner of the room, like that. In the right-hand corner of the ceiling or something, like where those lines in the ceiling meet, that's not a vanishing point. This is where
I know that. I meant it's behind the fireplace, like it's
all right.
Off.
So I don't see. We need to move on soon, but I don't see what you're talking about with Celestia's face.
I get where he's coming from, but to me, that's not the most prominent one.
I also don't see any vanishing points in this picture.
I'll draw the diagram for you guys.
I do see where Ben's coming from, but that's not the one that's most prominent.
Is it based on the ceiling?
It's
based
the
on the
window
floor.
the window where Celestia's looking out, the line above that.
All right,
this
is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. Next episode of Cutie Art Crusaders is perspective. Okay. All right, Burns gonna perspective all of your guys' faces, and
you can't say that.
We're gonna have. We're gonna have that next episode. It's gonna be that's gonna be our theme. It's gonna be perspective next episode.
Sweet, I don't have to do anything next week. Awesome.
So it's gonna be.
I just have to show up.
Anyway, there's so much I want to say about this piece. Why did we go off the rails?
Look, okay, save it for next episode
I know,
because we
it's
have
so
to
good.
move on.
Can we just not? Okay, that's a good point. We'll bring this back next episode.
Woo!
I want to say one more thing about this
Please
piece
do.
really quickly.
Please do.
Relating to depth of field, because a lot of this piece is in focus, like a lot of Divinian's pieces. But you off to the right hand side, there's this plant which is a little out of focus, and Philomena's cage also looks a little bit out of focus. It kind of giving you this like the scene that you yourself, your eye can focus on, but also presenting some depth to the piece just based on that.
I don't
feel like my eye
necessarily
focuses
agree,
on-
but let's move on anyways.
Yeah, I feel anyway. Before we move on, because I still don't want to, the architecture, I said it was the best. The architecture is based on historical references from France. It's based on like Rococo and like Baroque times and all that crud I learned about in art history. It's fantastic. More about that next week.
Yes.
Do whatever you want, Rainbow Plasma.
Okay.
Oh boy. All right. So my piece is last, and hopefully it doesn't involve ranting about perspective. My piece is called Princess Luna by Cannibalis.
Personally,
And-
I see 7 vanishing points on this one.
Maybe easily 15.
Could be.
Bird, fight me IRL.
What if I close it? Would the X be the vanishing point?
I like it. It's Luna.
Yeah, we have to
Plebs.
have our Luna piece.
Daily Luna post.
Yeah.
Lunafix.
Yep.
I like.
Dark Flame would be proud.
I like it. It's very blue, purpley, very analogous colors.
Excuse me, I believe the correct term is blurple.
The blurple.
You know, Blorridge is a real place.
What about Plu?
Blue?
I bet I'd love that place.
No. it's
Bloop?
it's
Is that what you said?
No, blurple.
Bloop.
Bloop. I like blue.
Yeah. The feathers are intricately detailed, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
I like the whole circularity of the wind, kind of encircling Luna.
So,
This is gonna,
Movement
this is gonna
nice.
sound weird, but she looks like a man.
masculine, like a stallion.
She does
yeah,
look
I can
like a
see that.
Yeah.
Dude looks like a lady.
I no, the opposite. Lady looks like a dude. I would like to then add something on to that by saying I really like this piece. I really, really like the fact that she looks like a dude. I think that the male princesses are not done enough. And they like whenever I see like a male princess is usually done by like someone who's really, really good at art, and like just the facial structure looks really, really good. And this is another example of that. I know that like you might not have been going for that, but for the record, you might have accidentally made a really, really good looking stallion Luna.
Yeah.
Oh, like that's
And hey, like, we may have said that the pony you drew looks like a man, but Michelangelo used to draw women like men, so great artists think alike, yeah?
Look, okay, like it's okay if it's any consolation prize. If it's any consolation prize, Burn looks like a lass.
I did. Not anymore.
By the way, Joel, I like your little attempt to get Duskshine back in there, but Burn's editing this week, so.
Da, 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 da,
yourself.
da, 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 da.
Things Byrne likes about this piece. It's really painty. It's like super brushy. The artist utilizes this like Photoshop brushes a lot, and like there's so like lets the brush do more or do most of the work in a lot of the areas that are kind of like rendered. So in like the clouds and the areas below, and then in Luna's mane and tail. And then like even where like the characters being like kind of blended and shaded, there isn't like blending going on in there, you know. It's like the actual brushwork is doing all like the work in there of the different colors like overlaying each other and blah blue. And I really like that aspect. I like to see when artists do that and play with that, and where try to bring the whole traditionalness to the digitalness.
Yeah,
That's good stuff.
Yeah,
I know some of these words.
I'm totally on board.
Most things.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I like the fact that like you were like, all right, so we're gonna talk about the things that I like. It's it's very painterly. It's like traditional art and blah blah blah. And like it comes down to like it's time for our P's corner of what he likes. Ba-doop, ba-doop.
Go on.
Looks like a man.
It's manly.
Looks like a man. I like it. I like that.
Next question.
I like the feathers. I mean, the feathers.
Feathers.
I did say feathers, but
Feathers.
Feathers.
Yeah, feathers. I like they.
We were too
they look,
serious
they look
on our
like
last
feathers,
piece.
and that's kind of cool because wings have those.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
only that, but they look like feathers.
They do look like feathers.
It's true.
Yeah.
Man, start on a silly note, end on a silly note.
Yeah.
Also, the clouds. The clouds look like clouds. Everything in this, like apart from even like the character itself, doesn't look like a horse, but everything else looks like it could be real. Like the feathers
It
are
does look like a horse.
It's a pony,
Back to the
actually.
faders.
I'm like we try to give you a chance, and then this happens.
No, Joel's got a good
He's
point.
got
It's a good
very
point.
good points. It's just his Australian gets in the way.
They're very well rendered and in like a very painty way, and they look like the things they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Their verisimilitude of tangibility is very cool. Anyway, but no, more on that masculinity. I feel like it's kind of created by like Luna has a bit like of a thicker neck, so like a thicker neck and the strong like broad neck or broad shoulders is a very masculine feature, and then also I feel like the face is a bit broad, but the face looks broad because the neck is thick to me. So I feel like if the neck just came down from where that jawline is and like slimmed down the neck, which would make the face smaller, it would make it a little bit more feminine. And then the limbs as well are a bit broad, and like they don't have any kind of like really defining curving features to them, which is another like effeminating quality. So like alicorns in the show, they do have like a stallion-like muzzle, but they're very long, lanky, and slender, which is another feminine quality where men are very broad,
like,
right?
Yeah. Like Joel's cat.
Yeah,
Black
and
Lanky.
in addition, there's also her eyes that are very serious, and so it kind of takes away the feminine signs in her eyes, because her eyes, when they're not like that, they do kind of give off a little bit of femininity, and this is a very kind of neutral expression, so it takes away, it doesn't necessarily add masculinity because her eyes aren't masculine in this piece, but it takes away the inherent femininity that she normally has with her eyes.
There's also the feathers are covering up important feminine feature points,
right.
you know? So like where her eyelashes would be to show that kind of girliness, because like alicorns do have that kind of like pointy eyelash thing in the end. Her feathers are covering up that the end of her eyes that would show where like an eyelash or something is, right?
Yeah, and one last point before we move on, I just wanted to mention that like the wings in particular, like they look like feathers.
Feathers.
Yeah, I think you mispronounced that. It's feathers.
Sorry, feathers.
Feathers.
I try to put on an Australian accent, but I can only do accents when I accidentally slip into them. So, no, it's a great piece. I really like it. I really like it, and I'm starting to ask questions, because the first thing and the most prominent thing I like about this piece is that she looks like a man. So I'm gonna have to.
I question your.
I ask
sanity
myself that every day.
Let's move on to the questions while I question
Whenever I
some
look
things
in the
about
mirror.
myself.
All right, give me.
There are no
1
questions. There are only
second.
answers.
I love you.
I love you too.
Okay, so first question is: do you think this little fandom that we are a part of will leave its mark on history, even if it's just a small one? By Ramslack.
Thank you, Robo Atmos Park.
Yes, it will. Bronies will change the world.
Yes.
We're on the space station. We're the best.
Bronies
Actually-
are on the space station.
I mean, ponies are already in space.
I think that's what he was referencing.
Yeah.
Yep. Celestia and Lunarite.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always hear that. It's stupid, but it's great. That's fantastic.
It's fantastic.
And Austin answer, I feel like we definitely absolutely positively will. Even last week, my parents went to a very large convention for franchisee owners of Taco Bell, and so they're at this big huge convention with like little hundreds of friggin' people
Who was the
from all
caterer?
over the US, right? I don't know. They were in Texas somewhere, whatever hotel it was. So anywho, so they're at this big convention, tons of people, big convention center. I mean, like BronyCon size, right? And there's a girl on stage, and she was giving a speech about like technology related in today's youth. And one of the things in the speech was that 50% of millennials or millennians, so people born within the millennium, so like 2000 up or whatever it is, whatever that generation is, 50% of them know what a brony is. And then she said, raise your hand if you know what a brony is. No one in the room except for my parents.
Your
raised their
parents
hand.
were like, we do.
Yeah, exactly. That's what my mom was like, me. Exactly. But so but no one else, like every old fogey there who's been a business owner for the last 40 years didn't know what the heck the brony was. But point being, like, it was relevant into technology, like in popular culture today, and like we've a huge influence on popular culture, and like that's fact. Like we're everywhere. We're in the Super Bowl. Oh my god.
So-
Yeah, we are.
So like,
What you're saying is
there's
that
no
Taco
way that
Bell
we're not,
will now
you know?
start serving horse meat. Is this official?
Have you seen their horse meat sriracha burrito? Dude,
No.
fabulous.
This podcast sponsored by Taco Bell.
And sriracha.
Not explicitly, but technically implicitly.
Do you like spicy horses? Because we do.
So much sauce with this horse.
Okay, well, I'd say
Anyways.
yes as well, because the pony fandom has done like a buttload of work for charity. So, yeah, charities will know us.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's definitely true. I feel like the saddest part, though, is that in popular culture, we won't be remembered for our charity. We'll be remembered as horse-loving weirdos, but such is fate.
People who aren't
Burned.
bronies will worship the voice actors, and the voice actors can never unbe a pony.
It's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
So like Tara
It's
Strong,
forever on their
everybody
resume
loves
whenever
Tara
they go to
Strong, she's always
convention.
going to be Twilight Sparkle.
Yeah.
Twilight.
It's weird because like she's done so many other roles, but I know her as Twilight, and
And,
a
like-
lot of people do.
But a lot of people who don't
And-
like ponies like Timmy Turner.
That's true, and ponies are still a huge like popularity with kids. Like we can't just forget it. Like these bronies and adults that love the show. Like kids still love the show, and they're still growing up with it. And like when they get older, they're still gonna like have liked the show that they watch because it's a good show. Like I still love the shows that I watched when I was young, but because I'm a fan of Ed and Eddie when I'm 23, people don't call me an Eddie or whatever the hell, you know. But
You're such an Eddie. God.
man, you gotta profile me under your name. Man,
Such an Eddie thing to say.
put my unibrow fedora on.
I think that it's interesting that like the first couple of seasons of MLP, basically there were a lot of pop culture references in the show, and nowadays there's a lot of references of the show in other pop culture. So it kind of says something about the show itself that, you know, it kind of flipped it around in that it's now a pop culture icon that other things reference.
Yeah. Like one of the factors that like kind of pushed me to watch the show was I saw before I was brony, like when I was looking, just like researching into it, I saw that scene where it was the entire ending scene of season 1 was synced to the ending of one of the Star Wars movies, you know?
Yeah.
Like the original Star Wars, whatever that was, if you can help me out.
Ending.
Season
2 ending. Season 1 ending, season 2 ending.
Was it this?
Whatever ending.
Yeah.
One of the endings of My Little Pony was synced to an ending of the first Star Wars series. And like I was like, what? Like this entire cartoon with ponies was like synced to the end of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh,
I was totally expecting
that's
the,
fabulous. That's the coolest thing ever. Like that's the best pop culture I've ever seen.
I was expecting the music to Star Wars to start when the screen cut to black.
Yeah.
Yeah. But on top of that, like, this fandom has produced so much content from fans, like all the art and music and stuff, and like a lot of the music and a lot of the musicians, like the music that the brony musicians make, is really, really good music, and people that aren't bronies listen to it. So it's like even if the show itself doesn't like remain a popular thing in those minds of those people, like people that have been influenced by the show do. So it's kind of yeah.
What's going to be cool is you know that there's going to be famous musicians out there, something like Archie's going to make it big or something, and he's going to get introduced at Paradiso or something like that, and it's like, you got to start with brony music, you know, like that's going to be on his resume as like, you got to start in the music world with brony fan music, and like that'll be a legitimate thing, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I would totally
like,
say,
oh,
like,
he didn't
YouTube covers or
start
something.
playing in underground electro clubs. No, he was a horse art music art maker. That'll be fabulous.
Yes.
We've only got like 2
Like, I
minutes
still
left,
hear-
but for the record, I disagree with most of your points.
I hear that.
Yep.
What is it? That Discord song. What is it? Discord, right? By help me out here.
By Living
Who made that?
Tombstone.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a
who
remix
did
of
the
another
vocals
person's
for
song.
that?
I don't care to look it up. Please
Yeah.
don't send us messages.
The original one, or is it the Living
Eurobrony?
Living Tombstone one?
Brony,
Whatever.
Eurobeat, whatever.
No, yeah,
Eurobeat Brony, the original one, the original Discord song, not the remix.
Yeah.
By Living Tombstone. I hear that all over the place in non-Brony related things, of just people who like that song because Discord, you know, it's like it's not directly pony related. I don't remember if there's like random pony links in it, but regardless, I hear it in places like, and just all like on YouTube and whatever, and then in the comments, people are like, "Oh my god, Brad B," and then people are like, "Who the heck is that? It's a good song." Anyway, Raymond Plasma, do you care to interject?
Yeah,
for the
I
last
would
2
like to
minutes?
hear your
I'd like to
your
hear what you
opinion
want
of
to say.
this.
Please let us know how wrong you are.
I was just waiting. I mean, like,
Go on.
I just disagree with most of your points because I believe that most of you are coming from a biased perspective of being within the brony fandom pretty deeply for the last couple of years, and that I would argue that while I wouldn't say that it like it's gonna like nobody's gonna remember it, like I don't think it has that big of an impact when you compare it to like 90% of what else is popular out there, and like when you look at simple things like YouTube views, like the most popular like brony stuff gets like 10 million views tops over like a year, and like a bunch of other like popular music stuff like I don't know, like music and other things like are just huge compared to them. So while I believe that it will leave its mark on history, like there's also going to be like it's not going to be like top 10 for this time period.
Yeah, but none of our points ever said it was.
Right, but you were mentioning
the
stuff
question
like...
was just, will it leave its mark on history?
Sure, but like anything leaves its mark on history. In parentheses,
exactly, that's the point. And all of our points are completely valid to that. Nothing we said was wrong or to the contrary. And I still believe that it will have a large enough influence to be like influential or well-known in history or as like a legitimate thing that happened. I mean, I don't think any of the points that we said are invalid. Like, yeah, it's not going to be the most amazing thing. Like, we're not... Like, bronies aren't influential as, like, Katy Perry or something, but I feel like that's a different kind of pop culture.
Right, but there's certain things, like, for example, you were mentioning, like, the charity contributions that brony's done, like, oh, well, how can anybody ignore that? There's a lot of charity contributions, and it's not necessarily, like, nobody's going to look at that and be like, wow, the bronies have done so much more than X. Like, there are a lot of places that are giving to charity as well, and it doesn't necessarily mean that there's notoriety or that it would leave a mark on history. In addition, I don't think anybody would ever introduce Archie as he got his start in the brony fandom.
I could totally see that happening.
I disagree, but that's fine.
Whether you would like it or not, or whether he would like it or not, I feel like it's like even on his Wikipedia page, it would like list like he got to start in brony music.
Page, sure.
And it was more of cracking. It was more of cracking a joke.
I mean, like, yeah, like it's gonna leave its mark on history, but like, I mean, so does everything. Like anything that gains at least some semblance of popularity. I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but it's kind of like I would like to compare it to Trekkies, and Trekkies are going to be like, I can't believe that you compared this. It's not the same, you know. But like, you know, I think it's a similar kind of cultural impact. It comes up every once in a while, and you know, eventually, I think everybody's going to kind of know what you mean, you know. Like eventually, we're going to phase out those people like you had at the conference who have no idea what it is. So it's going to be a name that it's going to be something that people remember, but I don't think it'll have kind of a historical impact other than being notorious in a way as like, oh, I know what this is, you know. So that you are right, that does kind of indicate some sort of mark on history. I guess my point that I was refuting was necessarily the level of the impact, which was seemingly implied by you guys.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, it's going to leave a pretty big impact on my life, so that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
It's going to leave a huge impact on my life.
And I mean, when it all comes down to it, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of my perspective.
As long as Max is happy.
No.
Yeah.
I want to be right. I disagree with Max.
There's no right and wrong in this debate. We were both taking the same side. I was just arguing the quantity in which that it would leave its mark.
Yeah, I think that's just the level in which we disagree, is just the level of influence or whatever.
I do have to kind of agree a bit more with Bernd on this one, just because, just coming from the creative side, if you look at the amount of fan art and fan music and fan content that is created out of like the brony fandom, it is a lot more than a lot of other pop culture cartoons, let's say, or TV shows or whatever.
Sure, but who does that really reach outside of the brony fandom? Like it's not.
I would say anyone who's a fan.
There's no news
anyone
articles
who's a fan
running stuff on that.
But anyone who's a fan of artwork or a fan of fan art, like there's tons of big names out there who make just like fan art, like
Is it fan art?
Saoshin is a big one,
Yeah.
and like people go to his account not to see like pony artwork. The majority of people go to his DeviantArt account to see like Rumpy Cat stuff or whatever popular culture stuff, and he has tons of brony work there, and then they see that and like whether they want to or not. So like. And the brony, like, creative influence has basically been the only huge creative influence, like, next to, like, maybe, like, Pokemon, I guess, is the other really big one. Like, especially in just, like, level and, like, quality. Like, if we're talking quality, like, let's discuss the historical mark level of like the Sonic fandom or something.
But like I'm talking,
right?
but I'm talking about this from the perspective of like the entire population. How many people live in the US? How many people live in the US? I don't know off the top of my head. Is it 300 million?
Something like that, yeah.
300 million. Saoshin has 1 million page views.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean that's a fair amount. But when you consider there's 7 billion people in the world, at this one, and within the last couple of years or so, he's accumulated around 1 million page views. I'm just looking at it from the quantity of other things that are out there that are going to be popular, that are arguably going to be more popular. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is that it's not going to be like top 10 things from the 2010s.
No, but I still set my realistic scale of mark on history in like just pop culture, like pop culture the scale, where like the top of the scale is like, I don't know, Rihanna or Katy Perry or something, or whoever played in the Super Bowl, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm not talking about the whatever billions of people in the entire world. I'm just talking about the several million people who are in like actually into popular culture. I don't know. Pay attention to it. Doesn't matter.
It's not really pop culture in that case. It's kind of more of an underground pop culture. Because I do it's difficult because I agree with both of you in that it's not reaching as many people as, like, for instance, Katy Perry, since we brought her up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like out of all of like the classification that it's in, where it's like cartoons or even like anime or what have you, it is a very large sphere of
if you want to talk about did Joel just get up?
No, I'm here.
No, it's so
okay. I was like looking at like feet walking away on the camera. I'm like, really? Yeah. If you want to talk about cartoons, if you want to talk about fan art, if you want to talk about TV shows, if you want to talk about those spheres, I think MLP has an incredibly large impact due to all the things that you mentioned. I'm just including everything, like all of pop culture stuff.
I completely agree with you. Like, just like joking aside and stuff, I completely agree with you. I believe you're right. And I think the more realistic way that I want to put it is like the fields in which My Little Pony has touched. You know, like fan music specifically, or fan art, or like those things where it's like fan kind of created content for that kind of thing. It has like a very large bubble in comparison to some things, but even on the scale thing, you're still right. And like there's things with way bigger influence, like Attack on Titan or something, you know,
well,
where
I'd like to stop you right there
cultural bubbles are way bigger.
Because the beginning of your sentence was the best way you could describe it, which is like within the sectors that it has influenced, My Little Pony has one of the largest influences.
Has a large bubble, not the largest. Not the largest.
In the spheres that it has touched, My Little Pony has one of the largest influences within them.
Yeah.
Within the spheres that it's touched, and I think that's a great terminology for it, and I would agree with that.
And I think that it will continue to have one of the largest spheres of influence for a while because it was A, so different, B, so inspiring to many people, and so down the road I can potentially see more shows that, you know, have these massive bubbles of influence on people. But I think that this fandom in particular will probably stick around, you know, long after the show is done, just in those spheres, and kind of inspire other people down the road.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that was very yeah.
That was fun.
Ponies is not a show, it's a way of life.
Ponies coming back
Brony for
to you
life.
April
Mein Leben.
April 5th, April 4th, 2015.
I cannot wait.
Watch it on your local torrent.
Discovery Kids, whatever it is.
I don't get that in my country.
Yeah.
Me either.
I get it off the internet. There's been a fly flying around my light for like the last, ever since we started arguing about this. And so I've been attempting to make sane points while also trying to kill this fly.
Yeah.
We
definitely did need the voice of reason in that thing, because we all are four very biased brony dudes, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like if we were having this conversation with someone else who wasn't in tuned on the things that we've been like so into for the past 4 years. And
Yeah, well, it also came from the fact that I was
argument.
interpreting the question a little bit differently than you guys, which was mark on history as in like Napoleon level as opposed to like...
Dude, we could take on Napoleon. Come on.
Jesus. You know, the Holy Roman Empire, comparatively.
Couldn't get it.
When Rome fell, I don't know, maybe the Black Plague.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite like the Pony Plague.
So we're at 1 hour and 10 minutes. Let's wrap this stuff up.
But we got another question.
Like
No,
winter.
No, we're gonna hold off.
Do the
question.
plugs.
Can we wrap up winter instead? It's done here. I'm done with winter.
I'm happy to have winter. It's been really, really, really hot.
Winter's actually been pretty good here lately. So no, we're not talking about the weather. We're 10 minutes over. This is not when you start talking about the weather.
We're doing the small talk.
All right, we need to wrap up this episode of Celestian Cadence.
Ooh, that's good. I like that.
Okay.
Plugs.
Plugs. All right. So we got a Picado, which is picado.tv something Cutie Art Crusaders. Google it to find that, or visit the link on our DeviantArt page or below this video. We have a YouTube, which is youtube.com/Cutie Art Crusaders. We have a Tumblr, which is cutieartcrusaders.tumblr.com. We got a DeviantArt, which is cutieartcrusaders.deviantart.com. We're on Twitter, we're at Cutie Art Crusade, and we have Facebook. Cutie Art Crusaders on Facebook.
You fly. All right, sorry.
You missed our Gmail.
I am pretty fly, you're not wrong.
You can check out our dead fly bodies on Instagram. JK.
Oh no.
JK.
And you can check out my cat on Match.com.
You can email us at cutieartcrusaders@gmail.com.
You can send in
With-
questions that we won't have time to answer.
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm always happy to put more questions in the thing.
Yes.
All right. Well, that is everything for this week, guys. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Cutie Art Crusaders.
It's not cab.
What?
We're not cab.
I thought we were branching out with our new brand of taxi services.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, our Northern C.A.C. butt branch.
The butt is also an acronym, but you know, I figured you probably already would know the acronym for that, so I'm just not going to state it. You know, like obviously, like
You don't need to.
who doesn't? I mean, yeah. So, anyways, that's everything for
we
this
should
week.
we should have like individual acronyms. Like, Flutter Guys can be cute and cuddly, and
Aww.
and mine can be crazy and
Cut off. All right. Well, that's everything for this week, guys. Thank you for watching, whether or not you're on the live stream or on YouTube. We love you all the same.
Look forward to the perspective episode next week.
My name is Rainbow Plasma,
My name's Bird.
I'm Flooding Out 317.
I'm Catmouse Spark.
and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
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 Bye.